Number one Ibble Dibble here. Hello, friends. In my last review of Harry and Meghan Episode 2, I told you I'd be back to discuss the serious stuff, and here I am. It's going to take 2 or maybe even 3 videos to do it, but I'd like to take a deep dive into racism and classism, how they intersect in Episode 2, and the reason Charles and William are better at handling both than Harry. To put it bluntly, Meghan and Harry are both terrible snobs who call any comment on Meghan's less than royal background racist because they know pulling the race card will shut most people up. This is unforgivably dismissive and divisive behavior. If they were normal people with friends and coworkers and they did this, they would very quickly have no friends and no coworkers. They've only gotten away with it for so long because they already float on a cloud of privilege, blown along in the sky only by royal decree or the promise of even greater wealth. Harry doesn't even realize this about himself because he's dumb and he's been poached in status his entire life. How many metaphors am I going to mix here? I don't know. I don't have a creative writing minor from Northwestern. Consider this a part 1.
Because it is basically the hunter versus the prey.
Only someone who has literally never given a second thought to money cannot see that this is not sport, it's not survival. It's a mature, regulated marketplace industry under capitalism, like most others in the UK and the US. As for Meghan, she knows code switching is key to advancement, and she knows how to dress for success. She'd observed enough celebrities to know that true untouchables publicly ruminate on their fantasies of being everyday, normal people with private and consequential lives. Perhaps Prince Harry even did this with her, so she feigned the same sentiments. And I must admit she couldn't have done it better if she had a psychiatrist and a stylist helping her. Take this picture, she's wearing funky little shorts and a backpack, but a Stella McCartney tank top and $450 sunglasses. Just the kind of earthy socialite Harry would choose. In addition to cosplaying Pippa Middleton, Meghan leaked her relationship with Harry to the press in order to lock down a commitment from him before his family and friends could weigh in on how appropriate or inappropriate she was as a royal bride. How do we know? Listen to the keywords these news people got from her PR.
She's the brainy beauty who's captured Prince Harry's heart.
A brainy beauty? There was absolutely nothing in her CV to indicate she was brainy. If Prince Harry was dating a research scientist or a translator of ancient texts, news outlets might come up with this phrase themselves. But in this context, it's proof positive that Meghan was faking it and manipulating him from the beginning. Feminist, philanthropist, actress? Could she be more obvious? Do you think Harry was in on this? Do you think she got Harry on side by telling him this would convince his family? In the very next frame, Meghan appears in cashmere and $49,000 of jewelry, not counting her engagement and wedding rings, saying this.
Right when the news broke, I think we both felt tremendous relief.
No, Meghan, I think Harry felt incredible anxiety and uncertainty because his family didn't like you. He's already paranoid about paparazzi, and he knew he would be receiving an overwhelming amount of press imminently. You felt relieved because this meant you'd no longer have to muck around Africa or the countryside pretending not to be a gold digger. And by the way, I'm not even knocking gold diggers. It's nothing to Harry, and anybody married to him deserves something for her trouble. But the jig is up. You can help Harry to believe whatever you want about yourself at home. Spare the rest of us. As the episodes progress, I can't help but notice that Meghan fails to wear anything except designer, cashmere, and silk, and an absolute minimum of $40,000 of jewelry all the time, usually closer to $50,000 for good measure. This is so different from how she presented herself to Harry initially. Upon rewatching her interview scenes, you can see she's often framed and focused with a blur around her to make the jewelry less visible and less identifiable. Some frames they forget, especially where she's gesturing. I'm sure it got really, really weird when you couldn't see her fingertips, so they left it in. But it's clear even the visual editors realized the jarring contrast between who Meghan says she is and what she shows us she is. TikTok challenge. Tell me without telling me that you're a crass materialist, ashamed of your roots.
This school will always have a special place in my heart. Much love, Meghan. P.S. When I am rich and famous, when I write my life story, I will talk about you and the school so you will be known worldwide.
Now, gold digging and being flashy show up Meghan as a hypocrite, but they're personal problems, not social ills. The next topic I want to cover affects all of us.
This young lady, though, is very philanthropic. She's also a part of the UN. She does a lot of charity work, which was probably their original connection.
When I would do Suits, I would, in hiatus, go to India, go to Rwanda and do college-driven work.
The type of voluntourism Meghan promotes, taking 10 days away from your glamorous life thinking you'll make an impact, is dangerous. First of all, the third world is not your classroom. Grow up. Being Western and being there doesn't mean you have anything to offer. No one wants to believe that Cambodian and Indian children with parents are institutionalized in boarding schools and orphanages to attract financial gifts to their community, or that Kenyan doctors and Indonesian teachers are denied paid positions in favor of unpaid Western volunteers, but they are. Sometimes the truth is even darker, with children told to tell Westerners they love them and hug them or they won't get fed that night, or told they can't live in the children's home if they won't convert to this or that religion. Local builders have to work at top speed at a discount in the dead of night, fixing the terrible quality work that unskilled Western high schoolers just slapped together during the day because their receiving the building materials is contingent on making dumb kids feel superior. This is a complicated topic with many books and theses devoted to it, going all the way back to Rudyard Kipling, but let's start with the obvious. The title of NGO, nonprofit, or human rights organization does not guarantee the projects use sound development ethics or implementation. Charities like World Vision, which Meghan worked with, profit handsomely from voluntourism. They sell these trips to Christian school and church groups like trips to Disneyland. Building projects with impacts sufficiently long-lasting to make themselves obsolete is not in their financial interest, so they won't do it. And I'm not even addressing the straight-up dangerous scams, of which there are many. Related to the idea of Western charities having a vested financial and political interest in keeping foreign communities dependent on them is the concept of personal dignity. Well-intentioned Westerners purchase these types of vacations because they highly value social currency and/or have good intentions. Think for a moment if indigenous cultural and economic systems are being hurt or helped by your presence. Don't the people you wish to help deserve the same degree of dignity you do? My personal standard for this is really high. I think if you have a valuable skill, as in agricultural, engineering, medical, that you are training somebody in locally so they can continue to serve their community, that passes the bar of dignity for me. If you're just there for the experience or to throw around a couple $100, please think again. And again, I just want to be super clear, I'm not talking about ethical tourism. By all means, travel sustainably, buy locally. I'm talking about voluntourism, where you pay money in exchange to quote-unquote volunteer. Another big flaw with Meghan is that she posted her quote-unquote cause-driven work on social media. The proliferation of social media has really brought the pot to boil over the past 10 years or so, with truly careless people like her showing up just for the pictures, not even intending to help, and even worse, being cheap about it. There's no evidence that she stayed in either Africa or India for more than a week, no evidence she did anything worthwhile in either place, and holding people like her up as paragons of charity and compassion sets a terrible example. But let's go even further. What is this?
If there is a problem out there,
and we have the means to really find the call to action and do something about it, then I completely believe that it's our responsibility to do it.
Speaking at some corporate-sponsored roundtable of nothing is not cause-driven charity work. A sheltered, superficial actress preaching morality to an audience that looks entirely composed of young, white, middle to upper middle class women? Prince Harry seemed self-aware enough to understand that though he was trying to help out, he was basically being babysat in Lesotho by a fellow prince.
Harry came to Lesotho in 2004. In the beginning, he was a young man straight from Eton, having had massive negative headlines about him.
Lesotho gave me the space and the freedom to breathe, to live, and to grow. I went to Africa sometimes 3 months at a time. I got a second family out there, a group of friends that literally brought me up.
How can Prince Harry not see Meghan is just as deaf to racist undertones as her press? She literally shows up in Asia and Africa and uses children as props. It boggles my mind that Prince Harry could imagine this is equivalent to the service performed by the royal family. My advice to, I don't know, the 3 women half my age listening to this channel who previously thought, wow, that's the one admirable thing about Meghan. I'd like to do something like that. My advice is charity starts at home. You will make a much bigger impact emulating the Duchess of Kent, who anonymously volunteered as a music teacher at a primary school in Hull when she found out the school was considering cutting music from the curriculum because they couldn't afford it. She taught piano and violin for 8 years. Even Crazy Megsy would have accomplished more volunteering weekly at a local boys and girls club. Go that route. Okay, that's my rant of the day. See you tomorrow. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.